We were not out of Sprites. I call it my night Sprite. Every night I treat myself with a Sprite. It's called a night Sprite.
Were you craving that one?
Oh,
Jamie is addicted to pop.
boy howdy. I went almost my entire life without drinking pop. I stopped drinking pop when I was 8 years old because one time it made me throw up. And that was enough of that, okay? What is happening?
Dropped like 4. I don't know what's wrong with me lately. I've dropped like
There's Swedish berries everywhere. Anyways, I didn't drink pop for forever. And then suddenly, I think literally this year, I discovered like Sprite. And I was like,
discovered Sprite.
Stunning. What's your favorite drink? A Sprite. Oh, stunning. At night.
What?
Jeff doesn't know. A Negroni. Spagliato. With Prosecco in it. Oh, stunning. It's a TikTok. God, old man Jeff. This is Jeff's beekeeping hat. I don't know why, I just looked at you and you remind me of the guy from Jurassic Park.
Clever girl.
Clever girl. That's a TikTok that you liked. I will link that TikTok in the description. I hope I don't forget. Okay, let's do this again. Hello everyone and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
Board games.
And
Board games.
exactly.
I almost did it again.
And Jurassic Park. We are here today with another 10 of our top 50 board games of all time.
We're getting
all
there.
of the time. We're getting there. This is the 20 to 11, which means next Tuesday, you better look out.
Top 10.
Top 10. That's some serious business
You know
right
what
there.
I want?
I want the other half of my bagel. That's
Peanuts.
what I want. Peanuts.
Yeah, why is that
feels
weird?
Weird. Why do you want peanuts? When
What's
do you
wrong with
ever
peanuts?
when do you ever say I want peanuts? I've
Never.
never heard you say that.
I know.
So it is weird.
It's random. I
We
don't think
do
it's
have
weird.
we have peanuts upstairs. Did you eat them all?
We have peanuts?
Yes, Jeff, I bought them before Christmas.
Huh?
We are going to start with number 20.
Yeah.
And I get to go first this time. My number 20 is definitely going to be much higher on Jeff's list. But that is Lord of the Rings, The Confrontation. That's probably top 10 material for Jeff. This was number 36 for me last year. So it has gone up, okay? Quite significantly.
Significantly, yeah.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings: The Confrontation is an amazing two-player only game. And it's essentially like Stratego. One side is playing as the dark side, also known
That's
as...
Star Wars. Come on.
It's fine. Also known as Sauron and his minions. And the other side is playing as the Fellowship, the light side, Frodo and the gang. So basically, if you're playing as the light side, you're trying to get Frodo to Mount Doom to chuck that ring into Mordor. Wait,
Correct.
he's going to Mordor to chuck the ring in Mount Doom. And then Sauron's got to get a couple of his peeps, 3 of them, into the Shire. Or they need to kill Frodo. The really interesting part about this game is everybody's hidden. When I move one of my characters, Jeff doesn't know who I've moved unless we engage in a battle. And then you flip them, and then essentially the battle is like a card, like you pick a card, you flip a card, you do the action, and whoever has the higher value of the card is going to win unless the special action or something, abilities says otherwise, and each of the characters might have a little bit of an ability as well. This game is super fun. You can play it really quickly. I barely ever win. Sometimes I literally say to Jeff, why did I do that? And he's always like, I don't know why you always do that. Why don't you learn? I don't know, but even so, it's still so much fun. I love that game.
My number 20 is a crossover. It's already been mentioned on Jamie's list, and it is Dominant Class.
Science.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the other video.
Come back.
It's Dominant Species from GMT Games. Dominant Species is a area control game where you are playing as different classes of animals, and you're trying to just kind of get ahead of the Ice Age.
Yeah.
So there are there's glaciation that's happening throughout the map, and you're trying to kind of manipulate your people or your species, not your people, your species, your classes around the board in order to thrive in different habitat types and score victory points. That's basically the game. Each class, species, plays differently, asymmetrically, and they all have different abilities that they're able to do, different strengths and weaknesses,
different areas
areas that they thrive in. It's a very thematic, I think, experience, wherein it's very true to, I think, how that that would have played out for those animals.
One thing that I forgot to mention that I think is important to mention is that it's action selection primarily, and that's how you're getting things. But there's like a slew of actions that you can
so on the right side of the board, just to jump in on that, there's a ton of action selections that you can make, and each player gets the ability to do that in certain orders, and there's more benefits to place in certain areas. It is super strategic. It isn't the most pretty game in the world, but GMT isn't known for having super crazy like components. It's basically just cubes and cones and it works.
Yeah, it really does. My number 19 was, I believe, my number 3 last year. This is also a crossover with Jeff and is just the victim of the fact that we did not get it to the table this year, and we actually haven't played it since early on in 2021, so it's been quite a while since it's hit the table. But that is Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. This, I think, will always, forever, ever be one of my favorite games. It is one of the first games that really got us into the hobby and made me kind of fall in love with board games, and I just love it because it's so immersive and it's puzzly, it's punishing, it's a really fun like co-op game, specifically to play at 2 players, although I do think it does probably make it a little bit harder at 2 players because we can't be everywhere. And every scenario is just like full of twists and turns, and there's different monsters, and I don't know. I love this game so much. I definitely want to get more expansions. I want to keep playing it. I determined to get it to the table again this year. It's been one of the victims of we've played so many new games this past year, but I think we should play this in Favorite Game February.
My number 19 favorite game of all time is a game that had been recommended to us a ton, one we never ever ended up playing for a very long time. Just played it not that long ago, over the summer, and I fell in love with it, and I'm looking forward to exploring it even more, and that is Anachrony.
That's a crossover.
Anachrony is a worker placement game with a unique twist because you are basically in a desolate area.
You're in space.
And where certain parts of the map are restricted to you, you need to get into an exosuit in order to access that area, which gives you alternate options of placing out your workers. But you only have so many of those suits. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is bring back resources and build up your economy as quickly as you can before basically everything blows up. And it's really interesting because there's a time travel mechanic to this where things that you had done earlier in the game, you can kind of go back and do that. There's penalties to doing it, and then you might get kind of caught in the past and that sort of thing. It's a really, really unique take on worker placement. And we fell in love with it. We have almost everything for it, and it's one I'm super looking forward to exploring more and more. I can't gush enough about Anachrony. Super excited. My
number 18 was my number 9 last year. And that is the Isle of Cats. I love cats.
God, we haven't played that.
I play it all the time on BGA. I also play it solo on BGA a lot because it's, you can play solo on BGA and it's super fun. Listen, what do I love? Polyominoes. I love polyomino tiles. I think they're amazing. And they're cats. So basically, you have this boat and you're trying to rescue the cats from this island because the evil guy is trying to kill the cat.
Once I found that out, that was the thing. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Did not see that coming.
Now, if you are wondering, yes, of course, I have the Kittens and Beasts expansion. And no, of course I haven't played with it. Because why would I? Why would I not? I don't play the expansions that I buy. Anyways, basically you're trying to fill out your boat.
You're supposed to play the expansions?
I know, it's weird, right? Some people do. You're trying to fill out your boat with these cats, and you're trying to cover up different symbols on the boat to score extra points. You have these lesson cards that you're trying to do different objectives, and it's card drafting, polyomino placement. I have played it solo, not just on BGA, but physical as well, and I do really like the solo game. But I don't know, there's something about this. However, I've heard many people now, many people say Explore and Draw, which is the flip and write version of Isle of Cats, is the only version they ever want to play now. So, I don't know. I've never played that, but what I will say is I love the Isle of Cats, and if you want to play with me on BGA, you should join the Discord.
You should
set up a game. You should join the Discord, because we be playing Isle of Cats.
My number 18 game is another one that was new to us, and falls within that war-esque type game that I've fallen in love with, and that is the Shores of Tripoli.
This is a great game.
Shores of Tripoli is a 2-player card event-based war game where one player is playing as the U.S. and one is playing as the armies of Tripoli.
Pirates.
Basically. And each of those players are trying to complete their own objectives. And those objectives can change depending on the game state or what events get pulled out in what order. And it's super, super unique. One that I was shocked at how much Jamie enjoyed.
I loved it.
Which I think propelled it up for me. Mm-hmm. The fact that she liked it so much. It's a very much tug of war, back and forth, play a card, do a thing, all with the objective of kind of chess piecing your pieces around this board so that when that objective card comes up or that end game kind of trigger, you're positioned properly so that you can kind of go in for the kill, basically. And it's one that I just absolutely fell in love with. This is from Fort Circle Games, and I'm super excited to explore it more and play it more this year. Definitely one I want to play in February.
My number 17 was my number 19 last year. Going to be a lot higher on Jeff's list. Like, a lot higher. It's Root. But look, I'm liking it a little bit more every year. So, Root, for anybody who doesn't know, is about, you know, having wars in the woods with your critters. Basically, it's an asymmetrical game where everybody plays a different faction of some type of woodland creature, and you are doing all these different things and whatever. First time that we played Root, I was like, no, don't like it. Didn't care for it much. Then we started to play it more, and this year we got into the app. And the app has actually helped me to learn the game. So now I actually know how to play as the cats and the birds specifically. The other ones I've played, but I don't really understand. So I can see this game continuing to climb up my list. We got to play the physical version, a 4-player game. This year we've played Root Marauders physically this year and just a ton of the app. We're currently in an app in a game on the app with the Box Meeples, Julie and Libyan. I almost said, oh my god.
Julian and Libyan.
I said Julie and Libyan. Libby and Julian from the Box Meeples. Go check them out on YouTube. And just see this continuing to climb for me. My favorite faction is the Marquis the Cat.
Over the Lords of the Hundreds?
I think I need to play the Lords of the Hundreds. Was very fun. I think that they would definitely end up being my favorite, but Marquis the Cat, okay, are the ones
you
that
just like saying Marquis the Cat.
Yes, I do.
Number 17 on my list was a game introduced to us at Dice Tower West by a good friend, Tim Chewin.
Oh my gosh, this is Tim's baby.
It is his favorite game. If you haven't heard of Tim, you should go check him out.
Tim Chewin.
That is Dwellings of Eldervale. Dwellings of Eldervale is a hand management worker placement game. We actually did get to play with like all the bells and whistles, like the sound bases and
it wasn't ridiculous at all.
It wasn't ridiculous at all. We got trounced, I feel like. Or did you win? No.
Probably.
It reminded me a little bit of like Blood Rage, where everyone has these asymmetrical abilities and they can play down like these really cool like combos. I just loved the production. I loved that there was multiple kind of paths to victory. And it was just a really cool experience. And I'm looking forward to playing it more. We just finally got a copy after having ordered it back in March of 2021. Yeah. It just came in. So looking forward to playing that with friends.
My number 16 is another crossover with Jeff. It was higher up on his list, but this is a game that we played for the first time this year, and now I am constantly in a game of this. And it is because I am a fancy lady. And that is Obsession. So we first heard about Obsession from Max and Danielle over at Table Knots. This game is like Downton Abbey, Bridgerton, the board game, where you are playing as a fancy family and you are hosting parties for all of your fancy friends. It's basically a game about our lives, you know? And you're like, come now, everybody, come to my garden and have a party, basically is what you're doing. So you're trying to gain reputation. That was my British accent. We're throwing a party in Birmingham. Come along. Bip, bip.
That's not that bad, actually.
Thank you.
I
know. Yeah, that one was. Okay. Anyways, so you're trying to gain reputation and you are trying to attract the Fairchilds, who are like the fanciest of the families because you want to marry one of them, okay? That's what you want to do. So you're playing over many rounds, and then some of the rounds different events will happen. You also have objectives that you have to score at the end of the game. You're going to be getting rid of some of those objectives as the game goes on. You're going to be hiring more staff because as you continue to build out your estate and the things that you can offer and the events that you can host, well, you need more staff in order to do that. You need more valets, you need more under butlers, you need more purple ladies. I forget what they're called, but you need them. And you're inviting more guests. And it's just, I don't know. I love this game. There's something so, I think you described it as being smooth. And that is how I would describe this game. And it's just something really unique and special about this game. It's on BGA, and just like, you know, I Love Cats, I'm always in a game of obsession. I'm in 2 games of it right now. We're playing with Rolling Reggie, who's amazing.
I love Reggie.
We love Reggie. Some might say we're obsessed because we're playing Obsession.
My number 16 is a game that I juggled with.
I didn't know you knew how to juggle.
Pretty consistently on this list. I didn't know where I could put it. I didn't even know if I should put it on the list. Every time I was looking at it, it felt like it needed to be somewhere, and I feel like this was the spot. And I feel like it's only going to go up, and it's already at 16, and I've only played it once.
What?
That is London, 2nd edition.
How come every time I come around my London bridge be going down like London, going down like London, going down?
London is a tableau builder kind of deal.
Freaking Martin Wallace.
Where you are basically building out...
It's an engine builder, I think.
London?
That checks out.
In London, you kind of have a open draft mechanism where you are trying to bring cards into your city. Mm-hmm. And you're building out your city, and then you're actually going to action your city in a secondary phase.
Yeah.
And those will all kind of like, it's like a bit of an engine build where you're doing a bunch of things that will give you victory points, that will give you income, and trigger off of each other in order to win the game, essentially. It's just a really, I haven't played many games like it.
No.
And I really, really enjoyed the theme, and I really liked the strategy because it is open drafting. Mm-hmm. So everyone has access to the same cards, and you can kind of see what people are trying to do. And
get stuck with something you don't want.
Can get stuck with stuff. My ring just fell off. You can get stuck with stuff, and you you can see what people are going for. So there's definitely a mean element to this.
Yes.
Where you can start picking away at people's engine build, I guess. Have our own copy now. Looking forward to playing it more.
Number 15.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Okay, my number 15, I don't remember if you've already talked about this one, is Merchant's Cove.
Not on my list.
Really?
Nope. 189.
Wow. This game is, I find it's a really unique and interesting game. So everybody's playing their own little game, right? So you might be the potion master or whatever she's called. And then you might be,
Oracle.
You are always the blacksmith. And there's the oracle. There's the innkeeper.
No, blacksmith is a dice manipulation.
Yes. Everybody's going to have different actions that they can do, but they do them in different ways. So for the alchemist, I think she's got a marble mechanic. So it's almost like potion explosion that you're playing. The oracle is doing a roll and write. The blacksmith is doing dice manipulation. The captain is doing action selection. And it is such an interesting game. And basically you have all of these different kinds of merchants that are coming in to the cove. They're coming into the little market. And
you are a merchant.
You are a merchant, and you're building out different products that you want to sell to these people. And so if you've built out a bunch of blue, if I'm the potion person, if I built out a bunch of blue potions, well, I want the blue people to be coming in on those boats. And if I happen to see that Jeff's building out a bunch of yellow, I might kick the yellow people off.
That's the limited player interaction.
Yeah, very limited player interaction. And there's also thieves in the game. The biggest issue with this game is the setup and the teardown. It's a real pain in the keister, let me tell you, but it is worth it. And I did go all in, baby, on the expansions. So I've got all of the new factions coming, and I'm very excited about it.
When's that supposed to arrive?
Be back on me.
My number 15 favorite game of all time, KANBAN EV. I feel like it's farther up on Jamie's list.
Guess we'll see.
KANBAN EV is a car building game.
You are
working in a car factory, And the whole point of the game is to produce cars, test them out on the track, go to board meetings, upgrade your car parts, all of these things. It is our only Lacerda that we've ever played, and we fell in love with it. We've played it a few times now, and every time I play it, I think I fall a little bit more in love with it. It's so smooth. It works so well. I think what's her name?
Sandy.
The Sandra mechanic, she's your boss, and she's moving around these tracks, making sure that you are
working
optimized, and she's super punishing.
Yeah.
It's a really cool, unique way to kind of keep people on track and punish them and that sort of thing. We've really enjoyed our plays of Kanban, and I can definitely see this one increasing on my list the more we play it.
Okay, my number 14 game is one that Jeff's already talked about, a crossover, and that is Fantasy Realms. We just like love this game. It comes with us when we travel. It's real thinky, right? And like I find of all of these types of games that we've played, this is the best version. I don't know that any of them is ever going to be able to actually beat out Fantasy Realms because it just works so well. And I think that we know the factions, we know the cards pretty well now.
We haven't played with Cursed Horde.
No, we haven't. Works really well at 2 players. Simple card games. Small box card games, people. This is what my life is all about, okay? And that art, yuck. Still
we haven't played
We don't have the deluxe version.
The new one yet.
We didn't feel like we needed it.
Because I think they upgraded the art.
One can only hope.
My number 14 favorite game is one that it hurts me that it's this low. But it's just a game that was so profound when we first got into the hobby. And one that I still enjoy a ton, and I think it's just going to keep floating around this spot. That is Scythe.
Oh, yeah. Scythe was your number 2 last year.
Was it?
Yep, sure was.
It's provided me some of my favorite gaming moments I've ever had. Rise of Fenris is still one of the best board gaming experiences I've ever had. Exploring that with Jamie, it was like our first
Oh, that is a campaign game that we finished.
Yeah, it was like our first ever real dive into campaign games where it was like mystery stuff coming up, and we did it together. It was so amazing. It was the first game I ever painted. It just has a ton of meaning. That being said, it's just one that doesn't get played a lot. Primarily because we just didn't have the group to play it. And it's still tough to table even with having access to people now.
Yeah, because like we all want to, try something
We've
new.
all played Scythe so much.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come out anymore.
I wish it would come to BGA.
Unfortunately, it's dipped a bit. But still a game I really love, and it still has a ton of meaning for me.
Where are we? 13? Another crossover with Jeff, but mine is in a place where maybe it should be a little bit higher on the list, and that is Unmatched. And we're just grouping them all together, okay? Don't make me pick a set, but if I had to, it'd be Cobble and Fog. There, I said it. Maybe even the T-Rex. I don't know.
Mine would be Cobble and Fog.
Cobble and Fog is fun. The characters are cool.
Bruce Lee's.
Deadpool's also really fun. Anyways, Jeff's already talked about Unmatched, not in this video, but in a previous video. This is a head-to-head battle game where you are playing as a character that we all know and love, either from history or from fiction or whatever it may be, and you are just fighting each other. The possibilities for this game are endless. I love that you can mix and match. I love that we were able to play as the T-Rex versus the Raptors. All the characters that they have are just so interesting, like Deadpool, Bruce Lee, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, Bloody Mary, like Sherlock Holmes, Dracula. There's so many, and it is so easy to table. It is so easy to teach. It's easy to play. Simplicity is the best part about it.
That's the thing I didn't mention that I wish I would have when I was talking about it, is the brilliance of that game is the simplicity of it. It gives so much depth, but it's so easy to play. My number 13 favorite game of all time is definitely one that has a bit of projection related to it. This one's definitely going to move up my list, and it probably doesn't deserve to be at 13, but it is because I know that this is going to eventually become one of my favorite games of all time, and that is Twilight Struggle. Twilight Struggle is a game I'm still continuing to explore. I'm actually in 2 games of it right now on the app with Joe and Tyler over at Cabre. Definitely go check out Cabre if you haven't.
And go check out Joe, because he's in the Discord.
Joe is our game master in the Discord and a mod, and one of our most favorite humans who's been with us since the very beginning, and we love him a ton. Twilight Struggle is a 2-player tug-of-war between the USSR and the US. And what you're doing in that game is basically trying to gather influence, throw up coups in order to take over areas. There's a space race component. There's a DEFCON track. There's a ton of things going on, and ultimately the gameplay happens through event cards. So very similar to Shores of Tripoli, very similar to Cuba, but just the board's different. And so you're playing out events, and those events change the board state. They change the tug and pull towards victory. It's just one that I'm continuing to explore because there's so much strategy and so much little nuance to the game that I don't even care that I lose all the time. I'm just having fun exploring it, and I know that this is just going to continue to skyrocket. And there's a reason why, like, this game is super popular. I mean, it was the #1, I think,
forever.
on BGG for forever. And I now understand it. It's a game I finally got to explore this year, and I'm super excited to explore it more.
I just did you know, Jeff?
Yeah, I can snap these.
That'll be a whole new hat for the next video. Yippee-ki-yak, the
This
buckets.
looks ridiculous.
Yeah, a little. My number 12 was my number 15 last year. That is another one of our originals, favorites, and that is Viticulture. I do not see this ever falling from my list, honestly. Like, it was like one of the first big worker placement games that we played, and once again, I'm often in a game of Viticulture on BGA. I play Viticulture solo on BGA all the time. And we played Viticulture World this year, which was a really interesting, very complicated, not complicated, very tough, difficult new co-op version of Viticulture. I just love it. I don't know what it is about it. Once again, it's not overly complicated. It's you're going to a place, you're doing a thing, and it's true worker placement where you're blocking people from doing actions. And I love it. You know, I don't drink wine, but I love Viticulture.
My number 12, this one's crazy. This one's skyrocketing.
Crazy.
And I think it's going to skyrocket on the BGG top list as well.
Oh, Jeff, I think I know what you're going to say.
My number 12 favorite game of all time is Wonderlands War.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Wonderlands War is a game that I think is another one that's going to continue to rise on this list. It gives me everything I like in a board game.
And more.
And more. The one thing that might work against it for me is that it's a bag builder. And I only say that because my luck's terrible.
So bad.
I will continue to pull out madness tokens regardless
full of great stuff.
of how many chits I have in that bag. Doesn't matter. However, Wonderlands War gives me everything that I enjoy in board games. It gives me miniatures that are beautiful. It gives me artwork that is astounding. The mechanics are simple, yet enough strategy to keep me interested. There is a mechanic that keeps downtime at a minimum. It's just engaging and beautiful and strategic. And I don't know what else you could add to this game to make me love it more. I love the asymmetry. That's another thing. It has asymmetrical factions, which is one of my favorite things in board games. It gives me everything I like. And I think the more I play it, the more it's going to continue to increase. It's just, it's everything I like in a board game. I don't know what else to say.
Listen, I'm not going to say anything because I'll be saying something later. My number 11 is another crossover with Jeffrey, who once again had this much higher than me. And that is Scout, okay? Because you know what I love? Circus performers. Just kidding. But you know what I do love? Is small box card games. I love it. This game is a hit with no matter who you play it with. This is the game that you throw in your bag to take to a convention. This is the game that you play in a group of people. I have played this at 2 players. We haven't played it together at 2 players. Played it with Michelle. It works at 2. It works at 3. It works at 4. It works at more.
Did you see that on first? That was pretty good.
Thank you. No, I didn't. Michelle from Second Star to Left got me a little box insert for Scout. Game changing, okay? Yeah. All the tokens now have a place to live. I don't know, I just think like with this game where you have your hand of cards and you can't rearrange them, there's a puzzle within the card game. And I really, really like that. And you know what I really love is the theme. I couldn't do without it. I love Scout.
There's no game there if you don't have the theme.
There's no game without Olivia on the trapeze.
My number 11 favorite game of all time is a game that I feel like I keep saying this, but this is a game that is probably going to increase because we've played bits of this game and then we stopped and we haven't played it since. And I wish we had committed back when we were playing it to finish it, and that is Star Wars Imperial Assault. This is the highest campaign game currently on my list, and I'll explain why. I love Star Wars. I love that world, and I think it plays so well into a campaign game because there's so many things you can do in that world. Why I love Star Wars Imperial Assault the most is that there's so many little paths you can take with the app component. You know, maybe you go off this way and that's going to unlock Luke Skywalker to join your party. Maybe there's new weapons you can go find or new planets. I just love that world. The miniatures are incredible. It's just a really unique scenario-based puzzle where it's not easy. I think it's something we will enjoy together. It just needs to get tabled again.
That's 20 to 11. We got 10 more to go through. But guess what? You're going to have to wait until next Tuesday. I'm excited to share my top 10. I think there's going to be some surprises.
There's some banger games in there.
I want to play all my top 10 right now. There, I said it. That is all that we have for today. If you are interested in buying board games like any of the many we mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is
the Boardroom Game Cafe.
If you are interested in joining us for the Foster the Meeple 24-hour board game-a-thon, there's a whole phrase, I forget what it is, 24-hour board game-a-thon. All the information for that will also be down below. It's us and a bunch of other creators and everybody in the world playing board games at the same time on the same day for 24 hours. It's going to be awesome. If you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye.
There it is.
I'm going to go eat the other half of my bagel. That's my treat. Juno! Beaners!
Got him.
Somebody asked if when we'd be doing Juno's top 10 list.
She ain't coming out.
No, she don't want to do that. Hello, everyone.
Okay.
You do look like that guy, though. Okay, Jeff.
Get with it, man.
Grow up, okay?
Area control.
I don't remember.
Do you remember? If I knew that answer, then I wouldn't be looking it up.
You keep looking, Jeff, because my battery's dying. Camera's probably going to turn off. I'll be right back.
That was dramatic. She says I'm dramatic.
Okay, we plugged in. We're good. What's going on? I'm going to turn this off and turn it back on because it was going to cut me off. Ugh, this chair always gets caught on the rug. All right, where are we? What a weird time in your life.
A weird time.